My house was blessed with broadband which reliably would fail. In speed tests it came second to a dead arthritic snail, and so I went for fibre because they said it had more zip. I hoped my TV programmes now would stream instead of drip, so Openreach dispatched a man to put the cable in. He came at 10 and said he'd make a brew and then begin. At 2 o'clock he started work, a spade went in the ground. He told me that the line was laid at least 8 inches down. My new all-fibre diet made my life the stuff of dreams. The data flowed without a glitch in great cascading streams. But then one day when I was midway through a call on Zoom, I found my screen had frozen and I felt impending doom. I knew a rival fibre firm was digging up the road. I put together 2 and 2 and from the house I strode. I spied a workman on the lawn, a spade was in his hands, and at his feet most neatly sliced 2 fibre optic strands. The fellow looked to be in shock, I thought that he might weep. He asked me whose the pillock laid this line 2 inches deep. We got our rulers out, they proved where we should pin the blame. Just as we both cursed Openreach, their engineer came. He called 'cause he was curious, the news was round the town about the line that wasn't laid at least 8 inches down. He told me it's a shocker, mate, you have my sympathy. I'd love to stay and fix it, but I've got to have my tea. He stayed to take some photos, a souvenir he said. We'd made his day, he waved goodbye and homeward bound he sped. He shouted from the corner, phone your broadband company and tell them they must flag the job as high priority. Now Openreach is out of reach for mortal folk, it said. You have a greater chance of making contact with the dead. So PlusNet was my port of call, in Yorkshire they reside. They claim to be REIT friendly and in service take a pride. I gave the chap in Sheffield all the details of the crime. 2 inches and a spade had left me cut off in my prime. He ran through all his tests and then declared that's got it wrong. I'd best not tell you my reply, my words were rather strong. So next day Openreach dispatched a second engineer. She looked and gave an expert's view. Your cable's cut, I fear. They'll have to bring in special ops, it's not a job for me. She took some photos for her kids and headed home for tea. I waited for the cavalry, I waited 7 days. But then the bloke from Sheffield rang, he sounded quite amazed. They'll never guess, it's Openreach, it's fixed, that's what they said. With lawn undug and router dead, I said, thou's been misled. I knew that I was losing hope, my mood was turning grim. So when the next appointment came, I made sure I was in. I mounted vigil on the drive, I camped out in the snow. And did an engineer turn up? Of course, the answer's no. I rang the chap in Sheffield to report the latest blow. He laughed and said that engineer was never going to show. The error's at our end, you see, the system likes to joke. The red mist came and deep inside me something dark awoke. I felt that I had been betrayed, I raged, I cursed, I swore. The gloves were off, they'd see no Mr. Nice Guy anymore. They'd pushed me to the brink and it was time to cut up rough. So if an engineer rocked up, he'd better do his stuff. Eventually one came along, the third I think you'll find. He said he wouldn't do the job and then I lost my mind. He's lying by the cable but there is no cause to frown. I buried him beneath the lawn at least 8 inches down. He's pushing up the daisies now at least 8 inches down. That's what they call a proper job, at least 8 inches down.